Hi, this is Nehal Kazim, and this is the Ad Tips for Ad Pros podcast, where we teach entrepreneurs and marketers how to grow their businesses with direct response advertising. Hi, this is Nehal Kazim from Ad Tips for Ad Pros, and today I have Clayton Johnson from the Hoth. What's up, Clayton?
What's up, dude? Thanks for having me.
Boom. There you go. If you're not watching this video, we're in person side by side in Medellin, Colombia. So also, if you hear any kind of noises, that's because it's the authentic.
Taxi cabs, dogs yelling, loud bachata music, blasting, reggaeton.
Everything. So the reason I have Clayton on here is because we've actually known each other for some time now. And the way we met was very odd. I used to see his ads on Facebook all the time, and they used to have so much text. I'm like, how is he getting away with so much text on his ad? And then when I moved down here,
secret.
When I moved down here, we randomly met at a rooftop where we were both living at the time. And so anyways, the reason I got him here is because he went from spending or making around $5,000 a month in his productized SEO agency to the point now that they're doing consistently over $1 million a month. And there's a lot of different things that happen when it comes to that growth, whether it's with paid advertising, with the overall management of the business, personally and professionally, of how you're actually managing that growth and your belief systems. And there's so many levels to that. Instead of talking about all of that, the thing that we're going to talk about today is offer development and the overall dynamic nature of the offers you're making in order to go and scale your business from $5,000 a month to $1 million per month. And so that's why I have Clayton on.
Nice.
So thank you for doing this.
No problem, dude. Thanks for having me.
Sweet. So tell us about what it took, like what was the actual first type of offers you guys created and where you started, because then we can go from, the journey.
Yeah, I think probably the best way to tell us is kind of like work through that history, because there's so many factors involved. And I know we had a comment on that group that was like, how do we dial the offer in? Like it's a singular offer to get to $1 million a month. So I think if we go through the journey of kind of like how it happened, that can explain a lot and maybe give some context for where you're at right now. So you can kind of put yourself in these shoes and see what the next couple steps are, and then also plan for the future, like maybe a year, 2, 3 years down the road, where you're going to go next. So yeah, like when we started the business really started very simply. Like we have SEO, if you think about it, it's like extremely complex. There's lots of different things you could do for SEO. Every client could be completely different. So we started as a productized service. So we started with just like one offer. We had like one product, which is a really simple link building product. And I think the offer point was like at $60 per month, or not even per month. It was just like a one-time thing, a la carte. And we might have had a second one that was like a couple $100 per month, or sorry, a couple $100. And that's what we started. Like as a lean startup, dude, almost every product, even now, what we try to do is we try to put something out to the marketplace and see if that thing works before you invest a ton in it.
So a lot of people who start in SEO don't go that route.
Yeah.
So they say, I saw a case study from this one dude, or I saw some other guy doing really well and I saw his PayPal transaction. And so I want to make that same amount of money. So I want to charge $1,000 or like $1,500 or whatever. Yeah. And so you guys started with $60 or like $200. That makes no sense. Like, why did you do that?
Because I think our target was a little bit different. Like to actually service a real client and be like, we're going to fully manage your SEO, that can mean a lot of things. And we just didn't have the capacity at that time.
Okay.
So we just focused on productizing the service. From my previous experience, I worked in businesses that were also service-based businesses, but they were really difficult to run. And I saw the reason that it's difficult to run is because you're doing something custom for everyone.
For sure.
Right? When you're able to productize a service, that makes it so it's like literally a production assembly line, and it makes it so much better because the deliverables up front, I can tell you what the deliverables are going to be. I can show you what they're going to be, and there's no kind of question. I can produce that consistently every time, and that makes it 1,000 times easier.
And for people who are in the service businesses, who have a service business, what we're going to do in the group, I'll make a note here. We'll make sure to give an example of what a actual manufacturing line, like the actual delivery line looks like from Clayton's standpoint, because I've seen it. And he's helped me systemize a bunch of our own processes and change my perspective on a bunch of things. And so what we'll do is we'll put that in the group. If you're not already in the group, it's adtipsforadpros.com, and that's a Facebook group. And so I think that would be super helpful.
Yeah.
Cool. And so when it comes to like that first offer, I think that changes a lot of things of the decisions you're making, because most people, when they think of agencies or service businesses, it's like, how can I get the most amount of money? And I'll hustle in the beginning, I'll figure things out, and then I can increase my prices or change my offer and go from there. And so once you guys like had those offers, like what happened next? Like how did you even get those people to buy a $60, $200 offer?
I mean, this is like the very beginning of the business, and this was kind of back in the day. I mean, this was like 2010. So we actually launched on a forum, like just literally put up an offer on a forum, and it kind of took off and started earning like a few $1,000s a month from there. And then after that, I think there was just like a various myriad of, you know, beginning entrepreneur type stuff, just kind of throw things at the wall.
Right.
You know, so we went to a couple conferences, we tried a couple ad blasts, you know, just did a handful of different things. You know, in the beginning, it wasn't super strategic, but it was enough. If you're a hustler, I would say it's probably the hustle phase, right? Okay. You just try a bunch of different stuff, and that got us up to, you know, 10, 20, $30,000 a month, something like that, just hustling.
But how many offers, like you go from 5,000 or just like surviving, just running the business and doing all right, and going from even that step, what changed in the offers? Not that much, actually. Really? Yeah. Okay. Just because that we had like a very easy to understand, like production assembly line offer, and also something that people could order multiple times because, you know, people always need more links. You know, that seemed to work really well for us. Gotcha. Well, I know from the way that you guys are starting and the way you positioned your business, it was designed to scale. And I think this is a challenge for a lot of businesses, including agencies, where as soon as you try to scale, there's actually a lot of different people that you need, or systems break very quickly. And so when it comes to even going from 5K to 30K, like what had to change operationally just to support that? Well, what was kind of cool is like, when I started this, or when I started doing this, I made a very big point in the beginning to make sure that everything was scalable from the beginning. So like I said, I came from a business, like service-based business before, where systems were like not really implemented that well. Right. And so I read that book, The E-Myth, by Michael Gerber, I think that's who it is. Yeah, it's awesome. It's all about making systems in your business. And then the second one I read was Built to Sell, which is also about building your business so that it's actually sellable someday. So like, it's not just you doing it. And so from the beginning, I knew the importance of like making systems for everything. So everything that we had was like totally documented. We could totally piece it out. So from when an order came in to the confirmation to every single step that had to happen after until it got delivered to the client, you know, it was all totally documented and super scalable. We could throw more people in it if we needed to. So that's what we designed from the beginning. Now, not everybody has the tools in the beginning to do that. And we literally ran off of Google Docs. Like our entire system ran off of Google Docs up until like 10, 20, maybe even $30,000 a month. And we made our first big hire where we hired like a developer to build out a custom system for us. So got it. So I know when it comes to like scaling the business, you can focus on a lot of different things. In just to even go from that 5 to 30, was that primarily hustle, or did you guys start doing advertising that was like consistent? What allowed you to do that? To be honest, like the consistent growth didn't happen until much later on. Okay. And in the beginning, like from everything that I can remember, it was just like hustling, trying different things. You know what I mean? There was no particular thing that I remember that like really significantly grew us. And actually there came a point in that journey where we actually kind of stalled out because we didn't have those consistent marketing systems. We had good systems for operations, and you know, our product offering was such a good market fit at the time that we were able to scale that. But eventually, if you don't have the marketing systems in place, like you're going to stall out and you're going to be like, dude, what went wrong? Right. And that's when the real growth really started. And so when it comes to paid advertising, a lot of the focus of the people in this group, people who are listening to this podcast, for them, the main thing is they're trying to spend money and make more money than they're spending that month. But I think that your perspective is very different than the average advertisers because you're not trying to make money per se on that first month. And the unique nature of your business and the perspective that you have is that you are a master of offers, but then offers that have a very wide variety, different price points all the way through where people are spending, like you mentioned, $50, and that's the only thing that they've ever spent with you versus hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so when you're looking at paid advertising and growth, what do you think is different to how you look at paid advertising versus the average person? Well, there's lots of things. The first thing I would say is that
the biggest problem that I see is people make it hard on themselves. Like, right? They're like, all right, I got one ad, and I got one offer and one funnel and I'm one time, and I got to make that work. And if that doesn't work, my business is going to fall apart. So what I have as an advantage to me is that we had, by the time we actually started running ads, we had a handful of products at different price points, and people were able to, go and buy those multiple times. And for the different types of avatars that we had, some people would come in and buy right away. Some people would wait a little while. Some people would purchase over and over and over. So we had a lot of different people coming in the funnel, and we had enough offers that it made it so that if someone came in once and they didn't purchase immediately, that doesn't mean I'm dead.
Right.
It's not like a webinar where I got one shot and I got one product.
Yeah.
So my first thing that's really important, the big benefit that we had is that we're not making it hard on ourselves. You know what I mean? So think about that. Don't make it hard on yourself when you're running those paid ads.
But what does that mean for someone who has like a coaching business or has an e-commerce business? Like for them, they have one or two offers that are working, and they might even have just Facebook or Instagram as their main traffic source.
Yeah.
And then you're telling them to not make it so hard. So how could they use that in their business?
Well, like with us, what we do is, it's very simple. Like Internet Marketing 101, we put people on the list. Like people might be interested in your front end, like lead magnet right now,
right?
But who knows when they're actually going to convert, right? And so we put people on the email list, and we just continually send them out cool stuff all the time. Stuff in SEO changes all the time. We come out with new articles every month. New cool stuff happens. We got new offers, we got new products, we got new questions, we got new groups, new trainings, everything's always coming out. So we put people on the list, and people sometimes buy right away and sometimes not.
Could you give a breakdown or, generally of like how many offers you have, and like what would be the one offer that's like generating the most amount of revenue? Yeah. Because most people, if they're in e-commerce or, service business, they have maybe one or two offers max.
Yeah.
And that's what they live and die by. And usually it's one traffic platform as well. And there's a little bit of nurturing and different ways to close those people, but there's not that much sophistication. So how many offers, and like what would be your best offer? And if you want to say how much it generates, that's up to you.
Yeah, sure. So basically, like I said, we started the business with like essentially one offer. And then we expanded that to have like 3 different types of link building products. That got us up to a certain point. But our real growth came in the next like handful of years, where we expanded to like literally 15 offers. We have 15 different like SEO products, and sometimes with each one of those, there's multiple different types of packages you can buy, right?
Gotcha.
So that was awesome because we could serve like way more customers. Like whoever you are, we probably have a package for you. But it also came with the problem of like, which one of these do I choose, right? Now you had so many offers. So then we created our best offer ever, which does like 4 times the revenue of any other product, 4 or 5 times. And that's basically done for you service, where we take all of our products and we give you the best ones for you.
Gotcha. And so for people who are listening, I want to make sure like that becomes super clear, because for most businesses, they don't actually have, especially if you're a service business, you don't have like a productized offer. And then on top of that, it usually isn't a way that you can combine a bunch of your productized offer into a higher offer that's worth a lot more and is on recurring, and people are paying for a relatively long period of time. And so when Clayton says something like that, the first thing is, if you're a service business especially, what are ways that you could productize as many of your offers as you can, and then from those package them up in a way that they allow you to scale, not only from a delivery of that offer or each individual offers, but then also when you combine them, they have a way higher perceived value, and it becomes a no-brainer for them.
Yeah, I think, dude, to be honest, like if you are running a service-based business and you don't have productized services, like you should have productized services, unless you have these offers that are super, super expensive and super custom. Here's the reason. You don't even have to offer those as productized services, but you need to have them, because essentially a productized service means you have a checklist. If you're going to do this process, you have this checklist. So you should be able to offer almost everything you have as a productized service, in my opinion. That allows you to make sure that as you scale, you don't have to be the person that's doing everything. And you also be able to sell the business one day. You know what I mean?
So whenever Clayton and I talk, most of our conversations are either about growth, or they're mostly on like systems and structures and SOPs, things like that. And I would love to potentially bring him on again for like the actual operations side, because that's one of his specialties. But when it comes to like the offer, just to going back to that, what was the point where you guys went from a handful of offers to like 15? What happened on how people actually interacted with you? Because how you deal with new deals and new people who are interested is very different now than I'm assuming you were doing it then.
Yeah, I guess it changed quite a bit over time. I mean, for us, a person can hit on almost any one of our products. You know, like our audience is so wide and varied that we don't know what exactly they're looking for when they come to the funnel.
Right.
Our first lead magnet that really killed it was just a simple like list of the best tools in our industry. It's just like, get this list of the 50 best SEO tools. So that's super general, right? We don't know if that person is like a local business owner or like a magnate, you know? So what we did is we had like a simple email funnel that kind of delivered value and pitched each one of the products, you know, throughout that sequence. So it's probably like 10 to 20 emails, and we'd be like, hey, what's up? Welcome here. Here's the main strategy we recommend for most people. And it kind of like pitched, you know, each one of the products somewhere through. And then over the course of the next 2 weeks or so, we hit them off with different angles and be like, dude, if this is kind of a problem you have, like, let's say you need reviews for your local business or something.
Right.
We have a product that helps you with reviews. If you are, you need content, you know, for your website, because you don't have blogs, we have a blog, you know, we pitch that. So basically, like, we built out that sequence that, you know, strategically work people through our entire product offering, kind of just felt where you're at the time, and then also offered people the chance to just get on the phone so we could just straight shot you to where you need it.
And so when did you guys start adding the phone? Because as a product side service, you want people to just go and buy your things, and then, you know, you deliver them and they're happy, and ideally they order again or not. And that's the end of the relationship. And so when was that transition, and how did that change how people bought?
Well, we had a salesperson from the beginning, or not necessarily from exactly the beginning, but very early on we hired a salesperson.
Gotcha.
But for a long time we had that salesperson there. We're kind of like, just do stuff. Like when people sign up, call them or something, we don't really know. And we're like, if you have somebody there to answer the phone and answer product questions, I mean, that's a huge next step. Like, just to be able to be like, yo, this person is dedicated to talking to people on the phone. Because I don't know, like, just at least in the US, people love talking on the phone. Right. Even if it's just like, hey man, just wanted to make sure that you're real. Right. Like, cool. Okay, that works. Now you'll purchase. Right. And I think depending on your industry, especially SEO, like SEO, a lot of people, there's a lot of businesses that painted like a gray picture over the SEO industry. So for us, gaining that trust and being like real people, you know, that was really important. But over time, as we started ramping up our marketing, what we try to do is really help the sales guys. Instead of being like, we need you coming in and closing deals and hard selling people like a lot of businesses do. Right. I don't like that at all, because I think that hurts the customer. It forces products down their throat that they don't need. So what we did is really work on inbound marketing in terms of like driving leads through marketing, developing the relationship with their content, and then giving them the opportunity when something sparks their interest to book a call with one of our sales guys. And that's great because, you know, the leads are qualified or they're very interested by the time they get on. And the sales guy doesn't have to like ram something down their throat. They don't have to sell them because they're already warmed up, you know, with all the content stuff we delivered. So that was really valuable. And so I know a lot of people who are listening to this podcast and the type of person and people in the group. And I know majority of these people aren't actively doing content marketing. Yeah. And so you're in the SEO space and you sell content for a living. And so what is your perspective on content when it comes to growth and having systems with using content? Yeah, man, I put a post up on my Facebook the other day, and I think this really encapsulates, you know, what I think about content, which is that every day, you know, people are coming to you, and like, if you're going to sell them a product, they have questions, right? And you have a pitch that you're going to give to them. You have like all these different things you want to say to explain your product, your service, how it fits into the market or whatever. But that only exists in your mind, right? So what you need to do is you need to put that out there. You need to write articles that explain these things, like every facet of your product, every question that someone asks. Because if someone asks, I'm pretty sure like most salespeople say, I get asked the same questions every day. Okay, if you get asked the same questions every day, there's a better way. Okay, just write out the answers. Okay, so write out the answers, put it in blog posts. So if somebody has a problem, like the way I explain is like when people came to us, anything that prevented them from buying, we wanted to create a resource for them. So they would say, okay, we sell links. Okay, they come to us and be like, yeah, what should the strategy be? And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll write an SEO strategy article. Here's the SEO strategy. They're like, okay, but what about, I don't know what anchor text to use. What should be how do I do keyword research before I buy your links? And I go, okay, here's how you do keyword research. Like, what about getting penalized? I go, here's how to build links and not get penalized. So every time that there's a question, objection, anything like that, you write an article about it. Now, what's cool is that becomes an SEO strategy, right? Because you can optimize that. If people are asking on the phone, they're probably searching it on Google too.
Right.
So it becomes your SEO strategy. That way you start getting organic rankings and organic traffic starts flowing in. Then you can take that and it also becomes your paid traffic strategy, right? Because we run Facebook ads to all these posts, right? This is like, we take all our retargeting and just run it right there. You can also turn your posts, the good ones, into lead magnets, right? So do lead gen campaigns with that content, same content. Then it also becomes your email marketing strategy because you take that content, all those posts that you wrote or objections, and you send an email, you write a little autoresponder sequence, and you go, hey, we just put up a new post, and do you ever have this question? Well, we have the answer here.
Right.
And so every time, this whole system starts working out, but it's all, the content is the core of it.
So if you're listening to this, that's a lot of information. You can actually use this in your business very simply. So what I heard is that first thing is understand and become aware of what are the actual problems or the recurring themes in your business. So for him, it's their sales objections. That's one of the most powerful and the closest thing that he can do when it comes to getting, earning money or closing a deal is awareness of what the actual problems are and what are the friction points. If one person's having it, there's probably a lot more that are having it. They just haven't expressed it to you. Maybe you have not expressed it verbally, or that you just don't know yet. So the fact that you might not even be looking at those opportunities, that is a challenge. It's the same thing that we're doing in the Facebook group right now. We asked, what are the different standard operating procedures that you would want for your own media buyer? And people are responding with what is it that would help them run their Facebook ads better. And so the first part in your business, whatever type of business you're doing, what are the actual objections people have? That's step one. Step two is how do you convert that objection into an opportunity? And that's what he was saying is how do you put that into articles or into content, into assets that help you convert people, but at scale. So instead of having the same conversation over and over, now you're doing it in a scalable way. So first is awareness, then you're actually converting it into assets. Now that you have assets, the third step is repurposing, because now you're repurposing that same asset into a lead magnet, into a retargeting piece of content, into email content, and into SEO asset that actually brings in more traffic consistently. And so all of these tools and these assets, you only created it once, but then now they're getting repurposed in multiple ways just to make you money in an automated, systematic way. And so if you're looking at the outcome, it sounds like so much work. But if you actually took this same approach of saying, first, I just want to be aware of what my objections are and what people are saying. If you're not collecting that or asking that, that's step one. Once you know what those objections are, convert them into an opportunity by converting them into an asset. And so that's what content that he's talking about. And now that you have assets, you can repurpose them into whatever other channels you want, like email, like actual blog posts, like retargeting ads, or even on the phone, if you're selling over the phone, of direct links. And so
yes, exactly, dude. My sales guys every day, they're like, I didn't even know we had these blog posts.
Right.
Like, they're like, almost every objection that there is, there's a blog post on our website that explains it and like has it all mapped out. And they say they love it. It's a resource for them. I like to say this is that it does sound like a lot of work, but there's two things. One, after you create these pieces of content, they will become your little marketing soldiers that will go on and sell for you like every day for years. There's blog posts that I wrote 4 years ago that are still selling Hoth products, It's
awesome.
essentially like, it's that question as an entrepreneur, like you're trying to train somebody, like, dude, I should just do this myself instead of making an SOP for it. It's kind of like that. Yes, just take the time, because in the long run, it'll save you 1 billion hours. Well, actually, it won't save you 1 billion hours. It'll actually allow you to grow, because if you don't, you'll still be the one on the calls saying all those things. But if you set these up, man, you can use these as little marketing soldiers, little assets, and pummel every type of marketing towards them, and they'll just sell for you for every day for years.
So how do you go from doing hustle marketing to having like consistent system to drive traffic to your offers predictably? Because that sounds like, I'm assuming that might have been like your next big inflection point. Was it, or was there something else?
Yeah, I think there's a handful of different things. But when we started launching Facebook ads and started running paid traffic, I think that was a huge inflection point for us. What I decided to do, which I think that for me personally, there's a handful of things that happen. And you've heard like kind of the story a few times. I'll try not to go too far off scope.
It's all good.
But as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to wear different hats at different stages of your business, right? One big thing that happened to me is that, SEO is hard, dude. And selling SEO with the constant Google updates, like it was really like emotionally draining. And there was a time when like probably like every business has something like this. Like, I don't know, Facebook ads has like Facebook changes the algorithm or whatever. Almost every business has something hard about it. And it can be really emotionally draining. But one thing you got to do that's really important to me is like, you have to take 100% responsibility for everything that happens, right? And it's like, it's all on you. You have to take that responsibility. And as hard as that is, sometimes it's actually like liberating because you stop blaming everything else.
Right.
So I did that and I was like, man, we're not growing. Well, okay, I'm going to take that responsibility. So why is it not growing? So at that time I was running ops, like I was an ops guy. And now I knew a lot about marketing. Well, I thought I knew a lot about marketing. You meet a lot of marketers that like talk.
Right.
Like I knew about retargeting. I could talk to you about SEO. I could talk to you about all kinds of different stuff all day.
Right.
But could I produce a really good system that would consistently drive leads and sales? Still hadn't done it. So I took a look at my daily schedule one time and I realized that, most of the tasks that I had were operations tasks. I was in meetings, emails, all that kind of stuff. And as an entrepreneur, I think it's super easy, to get busy with like busy work and making yourself feel like you're doing good, right? But I realized that my actions didn't line up with my goals, dude. The goals were to grow. And so you have to look at, are these actions going to get me more customers? Are they going to help sell more things? And I was like, shit, no, they're not. So I had to actually change my daily schedule and put time in that said, this time is only allotted for straight marketing activities, right? And I need, just as I develop systems for operations, I need to develop systems for marketing that says, when a lead comes in here, it's going to go through this system. And then at the end, predictably, we're going to get this result. And if that does work, then we'll be able to scale that. Okay. So that's why I worked on for, a long time to create.
And when you're doing that, it's usually at a point when you're at an emotional low. And there's usually that trigger. Was there like that trigger was painful enough for you to do it? What was the reason that you actually did something about it?
Yeah, there's a handful of things. I've talked to multiple entrepreneurs about this, and they say that like almost always before the best stuff happens, something really terrible happens, right? And like, I'm thankful that nothing really terrible happened in my life. Yeah. It's just that I hated Chicago wintertime, right? Gotcha. I hated it enough that I was like depressed, and I was like, oh my God, I have to get out of this. And so I sold everything I had, and I came down here to Medellin where there's perfect weather every day, if you ever want to come. And, that was a painful enough thing where I had to change, and I was like really intent on growing and changing at that point. And that's when I looked at, everything that I was doing and changed my morning routine. And I changed, the goals that I had. And I looked at, I started actually really setting goals, to be honest, instead of just being like showing up and being like, I hope this works today. Like setting a real goal, figuring out what I needed to do it, and then set the time to actually execute that stuff.
What was the first like biggest goal that you set? Because I saw your Evernote and I saw like your breakdown. So how did you actually set that goal? And then we can talk about how you got there.
Man, I don't know if I remember exactly what it was. I think at the time we were fluctuating between like $80,000 to $100,000 a month. And I think I just set a goal to 5X it, just to do $500,000 a month. I think that was the first goal because that was enough to make it like life changing.
Okay.
But I really had there was no like real, like, this is exactly what I want to do with this 500K. I just thought, I was like, dude, that would be a good growth goal. Like that would change everything if we could get there.
But then when you actually scheduled your time, that was based off of like it was a 2-hour block, right?
I think it was like a 3-hour block. I think what I did is because, let's be realistic. People are like, yeah, just do marketing all day. And like as you in your business, you probably have lots of responsibilities. So what I did is I just said the morning time was made for marketing, and then afternoon was when I could do operations. So I would get up and I got a morning routine going. I was really good. I got up and I went and got grateful for what I had, got my body moving, got into the Tony Robbins, move your body thing.
Right.
And then, I would hit down a coffee shop, write what I'm grateful for, hit the gym, and come back and then take a shower. And then that was only marketing. I didn't even check my email. Actually, I had a program that blocks my email.
Nice.
So I could like work on these marketing tasks, setting up that system that I was talking about, whether it's like writing these 5 articles or creating this one lead magnet or setting these up in an autoresponder or whatever it was to create that system, I just progressively went through that. And for like months, I just did that 9 to 12 or so, whatever it was. And like aggressively only worked on marketing, eliminated all distractions, like no phones, no anything, until I had that system created.
Right. And I think this is a lot of this starts with depending on what your intention is and depending on what your goals are. And once you actually set those intentions, then you know how to operate. And then at that point, you can ask yourself a lot better quality questions, because until then it's like, I want more money or I want to grow.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, what does that mean? What do you actually do today?
Yeah.
And so once you actually made that decision of, you created a number, 500K, what did you do in terms of figuring out what you should be doing? Because what you pretty much did is you said, here's a goal, here's times, and then let me figure it out as I go.
Yeah. So initially I had no idea what the numbers would be, right? But I knew that there's a very, very simple explanation or very simple marketing system that I could create, which is essentially this. It's essentially like, let's run an ad to a lead magnet with an opt-in. And then I'll put people on an email list and then try to sell them things.
Right.
That's super complicated. Try to sell them things. And if I put $1 in here and then like, we'll just see what comes out the other end. And if it's more than $1, then that's good. We'll just keep doing that. And that's kind of what I did. Like, created like a series of emails that had our top questions in it and, kind of pitched our products throughout and gave people opportunity to get on the phone.
Right.
And then set up a couple different lead magnets, and one of them beat the other ones in terms of like cost per lead. And then just ran that. We're like, man, okay, run it to a lead magnet, put people on the list, sell that stuff, track it.
Right.
And it actually worked. Worked pretty decent. We didn't get money back that day because we don't try to sell. Like, we're not like, hey, what's up? I've never met you before. Here's an offer. Please marry me.
Right.
We just said like, yo, here's some cool stuff. And then that worked out pretty well. And
Jeremy, who's in the group right now.
What's up, Jeremy?
He's a Hoth customer, and he's saying your onboarding package kicks butt. So
thank you. And actually, it's got a lot better over time. I mean, I think this is a good point to make, is that, a lot of times when you're starting out, you're like, oh, I have to do this crazy complex system. And actually it can be paralyzing, especially if you know like a lot. Like I knew enough about marketing that's kind of paralyzing, because you're like, well, if we send people to this page, then we should have retargeting going on it. Right. And then we should probably have a messenger bot campaign after that. I'm saying like, dude, you got to start somewhere. So we started super simple. It was like this to a landing page to an email series, and that's it. We used MailChimp up until we had like 150,000 people on our list. You know what I mean? Actually, up until this year.
Clayton and I speak a lot about different marketing campaigns and advertising stuff. And I have to keep, hold back, because Clayton actually executes what he says he's going to execute. And so when we're speaking, we decide not to speak about specific types of campaigns, because it just is, you get excited and then you feel bad that you're not executing. So the conversations that Clayton and I have are like, no, here's exactly what I'm going to work on. Here's the thing that I need help with right now. And then majority of the conversation that we end up having is, are you going to do this now? Like, do you want to talk about this, or do you just, do the stuff that you're already doing? And majority of the time it's like, no, right now is not the time to talk about this, because I'm executing A, B, and C. And so the discipline that he has and the type of people that he's working with on his team are focused on executing what's in front of them. And there's no guilt or shame or disappointment of not implementing chatbots or not implementing other stuff. There's always a pursuit for growth, but it's not paralyzing.
Yeah. I think that's super important, man. We talked a lot about offers on this, and I think I kind of want to bring it back to that. It's because, dude, the best, most complex webinar campaign with the sickest landing pages and slick retargeting and weird automation sequences, nothing can beat having just a dope, amazing offer that actually connects with your audience. Like, you could literally just have the worst opt-in, and if the offer is what your customers care about, like that's the most important thing. And if you have the best thing ever and you have a shitty offer, then it doesn't fucking matter anyway.
And Leandro in the group asked, what was your process of coming up with the offers that you have? Because I'm sure they've evolved significantly. Yeah. And it's not just like, well, I'm going to try this offer and let's scale it. Like, how is it that you actually got the offers that are the most successful today?
Well, there's a lot of points to make about this. What we did is just aggressively put out offers because you don't know. Like we've surveyed our customers at different times. We've kind of understood, like asked them what they wanted, and that can sometimes yield good results, and sometimes people lie because what people say and what people do are way different. It's crazy. So the best thing we can do is like I remember there was a time when we really pushed ourselves because we're like, man, we can come out with like one offer per year. That's about what we can handle. And then there was one year where we came out with like 3 or 4 offers in that same year.
Nice.
And we found out that we could do it if we push ourselves to do that. So we pushed ourselves to put out offers, and some of them worked and some of them didn't. And it's crazy. There's offers that I was like, dude, I don't even want to do this. This is not a good offer. And I put it out there and it explodes. Makes me mad. And there's other offers I was like, yeah, this is the best offer. This is so sick. I designed this. And then people are like, I don't know, So you don't know what your market really wants. So my best thing is like we always started things as MVPs. We try to launch them without we put in as least work as we could to launch them. And that worked really well for us. That allowed us to be like test something, like snipe it in. And then if it worked, then we can scale it.
Can you talk more about like how you're actually testing that offer in the initial stage? Because you have assets now, which is like an email list, you have a chatbot list, you have retargeting list, and of course you're using webinars. And so how do you go about that first initial test? And then you can work on scaling from there. But
usually what we would do is, let me try to think of the best way to kind of describe it, because it happens different ways, different time periods. But more or less, we try to start with the offer. Like, what do we think that our audience would like? And just being in the industry, I know enough to see other offers going out and kind of see what people are talking about or whatever, and then create, the sales page or whatever. And then, we have like our custom system and stuff, a custom backend where people order. But actually, a lot of times what we've done just to test things out is we keep it as simple as possible. I literally have like a Wufoo form because I couldn't get dev to do it fast enough.
Right.
So I literally take a Wufoo form and put that on our website, and we've collected like hundreds of thousands of dollars through Wufoo. Okay. So like literally bare minimum. And that would go to like a spreadsheet, and we would just have somebody like fulfilling the orders in a spreadsheet. So, I mean, we don't do that anymore. Well, I would still do it if I had to, you know what I mean?
Right.
Even at the level that we're at right now. But I'm just saying, like, we really tried to just put up a sales page with like a Wufoo form, write a couple emails, or even like a little warm-up sequence to get them ready for the offer, and then just be like, dude, if you guys want to try it, here it is. Additionally, if you have like a lot of people on the phone or whatever, we'll take like a top sales guy and be like, okay, you're the only one that can offer this right now. We're going to let you start funneling people into this to get their feedback. So it just depends on where you're at with the business.
And your business has changed significantly in the sense of like the number of people involved and how much complexity there is for every offer that you have.
Yes.
And so can you talk about that as you stack more offers, how that changes the operations of the business, but also like your inability or ability to scale?
Yeah, 100%, dude. Like if you're a small business, if you're like or if like, if you're like a startup, or you just have a handful of people on your team, a couple people or 10 people, it allows you to create offers really quickly because, you're probably in the same room as most of the other people.
Yeah.
And it's pretty simple. So I would take advantage of that. I mean, for those couple of years when we grew and we launched 15 offers or launched like 10 new products or whatever it was just that process. It was like throw up a sales page, show it to the people in the business, and then, get it done and see if people like it. As your business grows, you got to be a little bit more strategic about product offerings now, because now, I got a sales team that needs to understand the offering and understand like the complexities of it and answer questions for customers. We got a support team that needs to support it. We have a dev team that needs to actually create the process in the back end. So you have to be a lot more strategic. In the beginning, but throughout like your whole business, you're always focused on systems. Your systems just have to become more gangster like all the time,
Right. Well, can you give an example of your highest converting offer, your most profitable offer, in terms of what it does and the price point, just so people understand what is it that you guys sell and how it works?
Yeah, sure. Well, I don't know if it's our most profitable offer. Probably is our most profitable offer. It's our top revenue one.
There you go.
By far.
Right.
Which is basically essentially our done-for-you SEO service.
Okay.
The pitch is kind of like this. It's like, okay, we have all these different a la carte products, and you can take any one of these and make your own strategy, which is good for like a lot of people. It's all wholesale. But if you'd like us to do it, what we'll do is we will dedicate a campaign manager towards you to your account. We're going to go through the specific research process that we have. It's going to get you easy wins. It's going to speed up your results and also have like a strategic long-term plan for you. And then we're going to utilize all these little products that we have in the best, kind of mixture, exactly made, custom made for your website. Okay. And what we did is, here's a big question in the service industry is like, dude, every website is different, right? Or every campaign, every business is totally different. So how do you create an offer that makes it easy to buy with all these different types of, it can be so different for every campaign. So what we did is we go, look, and I've seen this a lot of times. This is a big problem with agencies. It's like, dude, it's so hard to buy from an agency because you have to apply and you get like a consultation, and then 40 years later you get proposals and the PDF needs to get shared around. So what we do is we just say, look, here's this is the biggest thing, and at least in this market where you have like between $5,000 to a few $1,000s a month, people's biggest thing is their budget, dude. You know what I mean? I mean, it'd be great if you're not worried about budgets, but a lot of clients are worried about budgets. So what we did is we said, look, we're going to sell this managed SEO service in $500 increments, right? So our lowest package is like $1,000, starts at $1,000. And then whatever your budget is, $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000, whatever your budget is, that's what you're going to get. And for that budget, we're going to buy all of our, essentially buy all of our productized services. So you get them at wholesale price. And so that offer was bananas, dude. We launched it and it slammed faster than anything else we've ever done. That worked really well.
But do you think it did so well because there's such a deep level of understanding from an education standpoint with your list? Because they've already been seeing other offers? Like, why do you think it did so well?
Because SEO is really complicated, and finally we just go, hey, we'll do it for you.
Right.
Yeah. So simple.
So hard.
Right?
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Got it. So now that you're at $1 million a month, and it's more than that, but as you guys are here, how are you looking at growth in the next stage of your business? Because how you're looking at it at $5,000 a month is a lot different than $1 million. So how are you guys looking at it now? And if you could share like what your company looks like today in terms of people and how you guys operate.
Yeah. So I think I'll throw a book recommendation in here. I've been studying this, Michael Masterson. It's called Ready, Aim, Fire. And basically I love this book. It really talks about the different stages of business that you'll go through. I don't forget what his breakdowns are, but it matched up exactly with what happened with us. Because as an entrepreneur, you have to change what you do at every section of the business. There's a point when you're running a lot of different things and you're really inside of the mix. You're creating the offers and all that kind of stuff, and you're doing some of the production. You're really in it. And then next stage of growth, you really got to concentrate on having more than one offer. You got to create, serving your clients better by having more things. We did that. And then eventually you're going to get a lot of employees, right? Where we have a lot of different people work. We have like an office of 45 right now to give you kind of an idea. But we also have, because we built our business on systems. For instance, we produce a ton of blog content. We have like 400 writers, but they're not in the office.
Right.
They're just they log into our system. They request an article. It strategically goes through that. So the numbers, how many people do you have is like it's a question with a bunch of asterisks on it.
Right.
We have 45 people in the office, and that's a lot for like a core staff. That doesn't include our dev team, like 10 people that are out of the office and stuff like that. So as you grow, like we're in a stage right now, once you get like 20, 30, 40 people, your business has to change. You have to, if you've never done management before, you have to learn management.
Right.
And that's probably been like the hardest thing for me, to be honest, because I love getting in there, creating a product real quick, figuring out the operations, getting stuff done. And we turned from like a speedboat to like a cruise ship. Like I say, like when you're a speedboat, man, you can zoom around, you can change really quick, but also a speedboat can be sunk by like a little puncture wound.
Right.
We're like a cruise ship now. It's like really hard to stop a cruise ship, but it's a lot harder to change direction. So
gotcha.
There's good and the bad, but you definitely have to change what you do at every section of the business.
Right. And so I know we've been going on here for a little bit. When it comes to offers and how people are looking at it right now, what are some of your advice, or how would you help someone in terms of scaling an offer? Because I think what you guys did really well is you figured out a couple of offers and then you stacked them as you went. And then of course there's different challenges, operations wise, growth wise, etc. But for a lot of people, there might be under the $1 million mark, and it might be even less than a few $100,000. And so once they're at that point, for someone who's in the early stages of their offer development and wants to use paid advertising, what do you tell them about offers to help them scale their business?
There's too much to say, I think. Maybe you can.
So when it comes to like paid advertising specifically, like what would be your recommendation at that point? Because there's a lot of ways to look at offers and there's a lot of ways to look at lifetime values and things like that. How do you look at offers in the early stages of your paid advertising?
I'm not sure. For our offers, I would say, I guess maybe I'll take Hoth as an example, which is our number one selling product. We were very confident in it to begin with. And if you have a good offer, you'll know it like from the beginning, usually. Okay. Now there's an asterisk to that, and I'll share that asterisk. With Hoth, we put a couple people on it, and we knew like people were going to love it and stuff like that. But then when we launched the first webinar, because we already had the list, we didn't really have to spend that much paid traffic on it. We launched that webinar and it was a smash. So we started doing more webinars. Now we can run paid traffic to that webinar. So that worked out really well. Now I said there was an asterisk too. Sometimes you don't know if it's a smash. There was a product that we have. It's Hoth Blogger. It's our blog product. And that was the product that we launched that I was like really excited about, and like people didn't buy it right away. But I was really confident in it. So I think there's something to be said about like, what your market knows you for. Like if you get pigeonholed as one thing, like we were kind of pigeonholed as a link building service. So our audience is used to buying links from us. And so when we came out with Blogger, they were like, oh, you guys do content too? I don't know about that kind of stuff. I just know you as a link building service. So I'd say like that's really important to know, because now that service is like our number 2 service. It just took a while for us to warm up our audience to that kind of stuff. So you don't always know if it's going to be a smash. But and I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for.
But there's part of a nuance of that is that SEO is growing and evolving as well. So, 5 years ago, links were everything, where now content is such an important part of it. And so you guys are evolving as the market is evolving.
Oh yeah. And I think that every business can kind of do that. I mean, people like to buy what's hot, right? And hopefully your business can move fast enough to be on top of what's hot. But yeah, over time, what we try to do is just try to fill more of the questions for that market. The best thing you can do as business is pay for a customer once and then be able to sell to them for all time, right? So the more offers you have, the more price points, the more you can expand that value ladder, the easier you make it on yourself to run that first ad, run that first lead gen campaign.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on here,
Clayton.
And
for sure.
If people want to reach out to you or learn more about the Hoth, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, you can hit me on Facebook, or you can do Clayton@thehoth.com.
I wonder if there's a lot of Clayton Johnsons.
There's another Clayton Johnson in SEO, dude, and he has ClaytonJohnson.com. And oh man, it's so bad, dude.
We gotta hack him.
Yeah.
All right. I will see you guys on the next episode of Ad Tips for Ad Pros.
See you guys at pros.com.